What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, taking a look at another new strategy, kind of. I've played both of these individually, but I've never brought them together. I'm, of course, talking about Eldlich Dogmatika. This is like the ultimate control deck, and boy, does it do it so well. You'd be surprised how many duels you can win with this silly little deck. Super Poly, Dogmatika Punishment is in there. Maybe with the Dogmatika Punishment isn't the greatest thing ever because you can't activate it until later on. But with the summon limit, I feel pretty comfortable. I also, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries is one of my favorite tech cards in the game right now. I just made a toolbox dot deck with a whole lot of crazy stuff. All the best decks of the format have either a super poly target or, the Winter Cherries. So I'm going to go ahead and rip this off the top. I go for Phoenix Enforcer. This guy's playing Dragoon. I was so close, right? Like, I'm figuring, of course he's going into the Phoenix Enforcer. Everybody's playing that. But no. I still have the Super Polymerization. I figured he would go into Predaplant Red Anaconda here, but it looks like it's because he top decked it. So he had 2 bricks, unfortunately. Not for me. That's great for me. But yeah. So he'll probably end up activating this later on in the duel, but I do have the answer for it. And so instead he goes for the Appaloosa play, which is a little tough, to be honest with you. Harpy's Feather Duster I main, which is really nice. I just think there's a lot of spells and traps in this format. And I'm going to be honest with you, this feels like a deck that can compete against literally anybody. If you're hitting these one-ofs, and I'll show you one against Dragon Link. I don't have one against Prank Kids, but I also have, the Link 1. That just ends their duels now. That's just a really good card. You have stuff like the Maximus to send Wind Pegasus. I love this card. I don't know if everybody's using it. Like, everyone goes for Elder, but golly gee willikers, that card amazing. Okay, so he goes for Dragoon. I'm going to go ahead and activate Super Poly. He's going to pop the Starving Venom. That's fine. Set a few in the back row. I know one of them's, the Sword, and I know the other one's Fog Blade. So I'm thinking, this card doesn't really do anything. Fog Blade sure does when I search, so might as well get rid of it now, because that was, like, the only one that I knew the location of, but I knew he had added, the Knight's Sword there. Okay, so he's going to special summon back the Rusty. I have the Negate, although this is a monster special summon from the extra deck, but it was now special summoned from the graveyard, meaning you can't activate Fleur-de-Lis, which is just so silly. There we go. Okay, Wind Pegasus. I'm not going to let him pop itself to summon, obviously. I'm going to shuffle that right back into the deck. I run 2 copies of Wind Pegasus Adamancipator. Being able to shuffle any card your opponent controls is just... it's so clutch. It's just crazy. Like, if they were to activate Enforcer not targeting itself for whatever reason, it's like a card that you just forget. It's just chilling in the graveyard. So if they were to pop something else, obviously on the pop, you can go ahead and activate, Wind Pegasus to shuffle back that. And more than likely, well, I'd say 100% of the time, unless you're playing heroes, they're not going to have another way to go into the fusion again, even if they draw a Fusion Destiny. Of course, their targets will be in the graveyard at that point. I was going to bring these back, but I don't think he has any valid targets anymore because... during the course of the duel, he had to send them off of Maximus, which is nice. So you would think this duel is over for me, but yeah, he's so low into his extra deck. He can't go into any ranked monsters. I think he should have sent these a little earlier. A rank 3 would most likely do it, but I also have the Conquistador, which is really sick. So if he did go into an Exceed monster, try to attack into it, I'd probably be reading, okay, if he's attacking with this random monster, of course he's going to be, going into Zeus. Upon summon of the Actus Go Talker, I will pop it, and there, I climbed out of the depths of that duel to win it. I still can't believe that I did. I'll show you a quick example of Dragon Link. This is a very short duel. He literally quits out. He just quit out the whole match. This was game 1. He's activating Tracer, so you may think oh, Borreload Savage Dragon, get rid of one of those negates, but no, this card is centered around one extra deck monster. I'm sure you guys know what it is, and I'll show you in just a moment. And of course, it is the Chaos Synchro. You will not believe, I've watched so many duels of Dragon Link recently, what this card does for the deck now that LP's banned. It's basically a pseudo, the same effect. And also, even before LP got banned, people were starting to play this card so much more. So he's going to be able to go into a Borreload Savage and a Spheres. I pretty much knew that's what his end board was going to be at this point. But considering I have a Cursed Eldland and a Dear Servant, I'm pretty much, fine for my turn. We'll see if I can get a Forbidden Droplets off the top. That'd obviously be very sick. But not the end of the world. I was going to top deck an Infinite Impermanence, which is just even better. Get rid of his negate there. I think he realized, like, yeah, he can't go in anything. This card is that important. And it won me the duel, which is just amazing. And it's also, no one's playing that. So if they're playing Crossout Designator, I'm playing around that. I have Infinite Impermanence, like you just saw on the deck too, although I think I'm thinking of taking it out. Plays around triple attack, but yeah, if you go for Infinite Impermanence and activate Crossout Designator, you're probably losing the duel. Okay, we'll go over to Sky Striker. Sure, why not? This is also another duel you would not think that you'd have the best matchup again. Like, Forbidden Droplets really does nothing against Sky Strikers for the most part, which is a good reason why this deck is so good. Doesn't go for the Phoenix Enforcer too. I guess he wasn't able to, but he's got a lot of disruption. The Ash Blossom, he's got the Ghost Bell. I'm going to start targeting the back row. I hit an Eagle Booster. Like, who cares? All right, maybe I should have activated Pot of Disparity first. It's just being able to search 6 cards into your deck is like super amazing. Especially if you get something like a Summon Limit. I don't think I did there. Oh, well, I didn't because he had the Engage in hand. Like, that was something that I knew off clip, of course. So if he does have an Afterburners or Jamming Waves, which he does, then it would have been useless. Okay, so he goes for the Area 0. I want to have the Omni Negate probably for the Engage. Hopefully he doesn't get anything off the top. He doesn't. So it's a little lucky there. Although I feel like when I was playing him, his count for the spells and traps were really low. Yeah, he's playing like one, he's got the 3 Widow Anchor, of course. He's got the main deck monsters. But other than that, yeah, I think it's pretty fine. I don't think he goes for the Jamming Waves here. I don't know if it ends up coming up, but wow, like what? Like, you have no idea what this could be, right? And I'm sure I end up using it in some level. Okay, so there goes Eldlich. I got the Nadir Servant too. I mean, how silly is that? Also, one thing that you want to do with this deck is go... Normally, I'm so trained in my mind, you want to go into the Eldlich stuff first and then Dogmatika, but some of them restrict you into special summoning zombies. So you want to, considering you're not going into the extra at all, unless it's like the first thing you do with Super Poly, yeah, you want to activate the Dogmatika stuff first and then go into this. Just a side note for the most part. Okay, Afterburners is going to pop the back where he finally does get rid of that Forbidden Droplets. It wouldn't be there before, though, if he had activated Jamming Waves or searched for it. He could have, meaning he would have had a 50-50 chance of hitting this conch. Another Ash. I feel like I've hit Ash so many times, like I've been playing recently. It's so annoying, but not nearly enough. Like, it's just so oppressive, this deck. It's... I've seen people play like Skill Drain and stuff too. I actually do not think it's necessary. Like, the Dogmatika stuff really needs to go through, and it's also super duper powerful. Okay, so we'll see if there's anything else. We'll go into Adamancipators. I'm trying to go down like the lineage of, competitive to not competitive here. I have not played against this deck like ever, pretty much. He's got the Nib opening hand. I'll go for the Infinite Permanence. When he's normal summoning this, again, if you guys watch the channel, I'm huge on card advantage versus like effects, theoretically, right? Like, he could have had the extender in his hand to special summon, but in this case, like, I've stopped his turn before it even started. I did have the Forbidden Droplets in the hand, so I had like a little bit of leeway, to be honest with you. So maybe that wasn't the best place to do it, but clearly it worked out in my favor here. Eldlich doesn't destroy, it just sends, which is crazy. Lots of great form of removal in this deck, of course, with Wind Pegasus, with Eldlich. And against a lot of stuff too, like spells and traps, which is really important against like Mystic Mind matchups, which I will show you. Plus you have the Conquistador too, right? Which is really nice. And he goes ahead and scoop because I have, the Omni Negate, and I also have the Scarlet, so I'm going to be able to get all those bodies on the board to end the game there. All right, so that was, I think, game 1, and here's game 2. And he does have the Crossout Designator. Wow, I don't know why I said that's so weird. Crossout Designator. And that's why I'm not playing into it. I refuse to, because so many people are playing it. Like, to be honest with you, like, when this card came out, I'm like, this is so crazy insane. But the more that I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, the more I realize, like, again, I talked about this, I think, a couple days ago, about, like, people are playing more high-value hand traps. Now, could this guy be playing Dark, Forbidden Droplets, and I don't discard a spell and he can negate it? Possibly, but that's, like, a very, like, iffy scenario for the most part. So I'm really happy. Again, I think Infinite Impermanence is really only a card that I should be taking out. For what? I don't know. Maybe another Cherry, or Cherries, whatever it's called. That would be a pretty decent one. Like a Nibiru main deck. Is that the worst thing in the world? Probably not. Although that's another Crossout Designator target. That's something I'm going to play around with. It hasn't come up just quite yet, but yeah. Alright, so I'm probably just going to activate Nadir Servant. He's going to chain Thinking I'm playing Invoked. Of course I'm not. I'll send 2 cards, get rid of all of the Appaloosa negates. I can sell an Elder, pop one of the back row. That's so good, right? And he can't even, obviously discard with the Twin Twisters, which he probably he shouldn't have set this. Should have kept it in his hand so he could pop 2 cards in my back row, which wouldn't have been that great because he's all like replace himself in a search, but in like regular circumstances, you want to have the Twin Twister at least live a little bit. And I just, again, broke through that board pretty quick. So that was another match just right down. I played Hero. Gosh, I was so frustrated playing this. Dual Super Poly doesn't do like anything for the most part in this. Although there is the Muddy Mud Dragon. That is actually a pretty decent card, but it doesn't look like they play it. Why are they playing Super Poly in the first? Maybe this was like literally a mistake because unless you want to Super Poly yourself, none of this is working. Are there any generic heroes like to have anything? Mass Change? No. Summon Limit is pretty much a death sentence against hero decks. He's going to set all those. Nothing's going to happen with it, of course. He doesn't even have any Super Poly targets appropriate. So at the time, I think I'll end up setting this through. I have been playing this 7 Realms of the Golden Lord. I have a very mixed relationship. I have a very mixed opinion on it. It's like never a bad thing to go into the fusion, but it doesn't impact you that much. It is a unique form of removal, meaning you get to take control of your opponent's monsters. Can't activate its effects or attack, so it is kind of wonky. I'm probably going to end up taking it out. That's how I feel at the moment. He had tried to go for polymerization. Again, card advantage, card advantage, card advantage. He only has one other card in hand, so he's got it. That's what the Super Poly target has to be, right? So if I can just pop the monster on field, then he goes -2. And also the card that I did destroy was malicious, and there's his other copy. It's, semi-limited. And there it is, cool, but it never really did anything too beneficial to me at all. All right, what do we have left here? Here's a little bit of, Marincess, and I'll show you Time Thief, and that has to do with the Mystic Mine kind of matchup. I think Marincess is able to, build their board pretty much how they want. At some point, I think they just quit the duel. So we'll see what I'm, kind of going for here. This duel is a great reminder that you should read cards, and I do not read cards because reading is very hard, and I end up wasting a Forbidden Droplets here. I'm able to play through it, but yeah, this field spell makes these unaffected by card effects. So I was going to activate Pot of Disparity, he was going to negate, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to negate that too. Unaffected, bro, unaffected. 300,000 IQ. I'm going to get rid of this field spell so that this is, affected again. I think this is the new one. It's really nice, actually, for Marincess to have that card because, normally they do not have that kind of disruption. I'm going to go ahead and send a Titanclad. I'm going to be able to negate a face-up card. Considering I had the summon limit, too, that's going to be very crucial. Plus the Wind Pegasus, if he gets rid of anything, then, yeah, I'm going to, shuffle one of these back. I obviously sent the Titanclad at the end phase of my last turn, so I could do exactly this, negate that really important part. He goes for the Pot of Avarice, and he goes for Cross-Out Designator. Not playing into this card, and I can't think of any better way to show you that idea than this duel, right? So he sends the Summon Limit back to my hand, but he doesn't have any extenders, luckily for me. Conquistador can be there. I have the Golden Land forever now. Summon Limit is still there, and I think this is literally where he just stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For whatever reason. But I think he kind of knew, okay, Summon Limit's here. He's got the Conquistador. He's got an Omni Negate. It's pretty good stuff, right? And the last couple duels here, Timelords. Didn't know I was playing at first. I think I peeped the Mystic Mine. So he takes a few off the top. Considering he doesn't add Mystic Mine to his hand here, I'm like, this guy probably has Mystic Mine, already in the hand. So I got to be able to play around that. So I have the Harpy's Feather Duster, which is best case scenario. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm not in a desperate situation right now. And I only have one Harpy's Feather Duster, of course. So you got to hold on to it. One thing that I've as I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm getting better at is patience. Patience is so crazy important because when your opponent has a lot of effects going off during your turn, it makes you antsy where you're like, oh, geez, I got to get this negated or else, whatever the case may be. But usually the longer the wait, the better it is. Don't activate effects until it's the very last moment. Plus, he has no idea I had the Harpy's Feather Duster either, so he's not going to play around it, of course. I was hoping he was going to attack into my Eldlich, but yeah, he just doesn't. So he's got a few life points left. I'm going to take 1,000 burn damage. Quite all right. I think I go... I tried to go into the fusion because in my mind, I'm going to be able to tribute a card, tribute a zombie monster to take control of his card. Again, like, this card is so cool looking. It's just really awkward, right? You have to tribute... I wish it was tribute a monster, and then you can target a face-up card. Like, because it also is a targeting effect. Like, I don't know why it has to be a zombie monster, personally, but okay. So he thinks he's fine, right? But he is totally not. I'm going to go ahead and activate the Harpy's Feather Duster and attack for game, which is pretty cool. That was game 1, so I was able to kind of make that game plan up on the fly. Now I know what I'm playing. It's pretty crazy, this duel, to be honest with you. You know, Waking the Dragons, like, that's kind of obvious, I'm thinking, but okay, I'm going to have to get rid of this back row at some point anyways. So it's not the end of the world. It's got a few bluffs down there, which is pretty smart, actually. Every time I activate a card or summon, I'm going to pay 500 life points. It's okay, I got plenty. It's not like he's attacking me for, like, you know, lethal anyways at some point. I was hoping to find a Lightning Storm, a Harpy's Feather Duster. I went 6 deep and I didn't. But when you're playing a duel like this, like, your extra deck literally doesn't matter. You're not going to be sending anything, you know, with Winter Cherries. And actually left this card in because I didn't have enough side cards that fit what this was doing. Like, I sided in Lancey, I sided in Droll, but again, you got to think, I'm already playing for Bin Droplets. I'm already playing Infinite Impermanence, like all that stuff. Although Infinite Impermanence is actually pretty good in this matchup for sure. I'm going to go ahead and set this in this column. So next turn, I'm good to do whatever I want here. Let's get shuffled back. So during this turn, I'm going to be able to kind of do, you know, negate this effect. Whatever this trap card is isn't being activated. Waking the Dragons. And I'm going to go 6 deep again. Although I feel like even if he does have a second Waking the Dragon, I think I find the Harpies right at the end of that 6th card. But, you know, 6 cards deep is really, like, it's, like, lucky, but it's not that lucky, especially because I had Lightning Storm, too. And now that my plays are absolutely online, I can go through and get over him, you know, with the Eldlich to Golden Norton. I think, again, I ordered this wrong, meaning that you want to do your Dogmatika stuff first and then go into Eldlich. Like, that was another good example. I'm going to go ahead and negate this, considering he has, like, no cards. Like, that's not going to work. You know, the Scarlet Sanguine can go ahead and do that. That way I can special summon back the Eldlich and probably have way more than enough for lethal. Maximus can come down. I don't activate the effect. No shenanigans, you know. Just go ahead and go for the game. So it's nice to be able to, like, have the same deck list and just fight against, like, random rogue like Timelords, and then the very next duel be able to take on Adamancipators, to take on Phantom Knights, Sky Strikers, all that stuff, especially Sky Striker now, because if you can just cherries their Enforcer, not that Sky Strikers is, like, done at that point, but that is a huge part of why the deck is even usable now. And other cards, like, you know, I showed Dragon Link, so I'm really happy with this deck. I actually think it's, like, unironically good type of level stuff. Like, at least Rogue, but, you know, you just saw the gameplay. I was able to do some pretty cool stuff against some of the top decks of the format. Not Leerless. I don't know how that's going to go. I didn't play any of that, so maybe I'll play this deck some more after I do the deck profile and kind of combine the deck profile with some more gameplay against meta. But yeah, other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I will see you guys next time.